Welcome to the Play-Based Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen R.B. Peterson, and maybe your new teacher bestie that is here to hype you up, maybe give you a motivating kick in the pants, and teach you all I know about play and childhood. I am here to help you challenge old and outdated practices and inspire you to create a truly developmentally appropriate early childhood environment that fosters creativity, curiosity, and joy in the children that you care for. Let's set the stage for a lifelong love of learning. Let's get going. I just pushed record without telling you I was going to record. And so we're recording. I have Beverly Beck with me, and she's joining me on the podcast today. Happy Little Humans is the name of Beverly's business. And we are chatting all about process art, creative expression, and how that builds social and emotional skills in young children. So welcome, Beverly. Thanks for being here to chat with me this morning.
Oh, thank you so much. You're my
evening
person to chat with.
Evening for you. Beverly is in Ireland. So she usually is evening when I am, morning. So hi, I'm happy to see you. Or talk to you. Nobody else can see us. So we just, it's happy to hear you, I suppose. Okay. So talk to me. So maybe first, I always like to define things so that we can be on the same page and everybody, all the listeners can be on the same page. So can you define creative expression first, and then we'll move into social and emotional development. So creative expression, what does that mean to you?
Everything, really. Creative expression is absolutely everything, from the hair color that you top up your grays with to the pants that you're wearing that are comfortable, to the color you paint your walls, to the socks that you pick, to everything, to the way you write, the way you interact with people. It's absolutely everything. But in little kids, creative expression it's how they learn. It's through play. It's how they experience the world, because they're curious. They haven't lost that sense of wonder yet, and they're imaginative and just so like just sponges, just ready to just learn and excited and just like, give me all the information.
They're like little funnels that just are open to everything and just funneling it all right in through their whole entire being and body and everything.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never actually thought of creative expression as just like everything. It's like how you choose to show up in the world every single day, and the things that people you choose to interact with, and the things you choose to do. And it's everything.
Yeah.
Wow. Everything. That's kind of mind blowing.
Right down to your thoughts. Everything that you think you can choose how you want to think about something.
Yeah.
So very passionate about the whole mind body kind of expression with art and interest and everything all mixed together in the whole human experience, as opposed to just a paintbrush.
Yeah. How does art then relate to the whole human experience?
I believe that art is something that's been around before maybe language. Before, it's a way of storytelling. It's a way of interacting. We don't really know what happened years and years and years ago. We're told stories and we just assume that that's what happened. But when you go back to the history books and you look at like hieroglyphics or caveman drawings, or that's them using the tools that they have, their fingers, to be able to communicate something through a story. So it's not necessarily about the words, but about the visual interpretation and how we all can interpret something differently. So I think there was a TED talk about how visual imagery is the one universal language that everybody can understand immediately. Can't remember what it was, but we'll look it up.
Okay, so now let's define social and emotional development. What does that mean to you?
That means kind of how we get on with other people and how we interact and how we feel about it, and how we can discover our unique weird selves and be okay with that, and not worry about, like, I don't like, me as an adult now, I'm trying to go back and teach kids and other adults how to be themselves as
Yeah.
opposed to trying to please everyone else. So for me, social emotional learning is about getting on with others, being kind, compassionate, um, figuring out your own emotions, figuring out who you are, being able to figure out other people and sort of all mesh together in this whole experience, and have fun along the way, because, like, really, life is
Right.
just
Absolutely. Okay. So I think most early childhood educators know how important social and emotional skills are, except for I think sometimes um, social and emotional skills, when you are working in a very structured, traditional type program, they get lesson planned in as
yes,
actual, like, we're going to teach you this with smiley faces and frowny faces, and we're going to teach you emotions at circle time. However, in your opinion, like, and maybe I set that up for you too well, I don't know. Maybe I just shoved some opinion into your brain. Um, how do you feel like social and emotional skills are best developed in young children?
I think, I suppose in my experience, I've had experience with, like, early childhood, sort of sort of different abilities and different disabilities along the way. And for me, it's about that early, not intervention, but early awareness
Mm,
of what, how to sort of be in the
yeah.
world, and how to kind of um how to learn as we go, because, like, your brain doesn't stop developing until you're about 25 now, the science is saying, the latest is. And
Hmm.
it's, we have to realize that children are actually a newborn human trying to figure out the world. And I don't know about you, but I'm in my early 40s and I still haven't figured it out. So,
Absolutely. I know. I haven't either.
so you can't expect a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old to have it figured out. But I would say, if you're in the classroom, it doesn't have to be the planned in stuff. If you have to abide by that, well, then that's okay. But you can have your own creative freedom around that.
Yeah.
Um, so, for instance, if there is something to do with emotions and you have to bring out the smiley faces, well, why can't you just stick those smiley faces on a lollipop stick and make them into a puppet instead? Or why can't you stick them on a sock,
Mm,
or recreate the faces, some other way? It
yeah.
doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be a print out cookie cutter curriculum. You
Right.
can use that creativity to be able to put your own stamp on things from your own perspective, and bring in a bit of fun. I think, a bit of fun, and just that connection with the human beings in that classroom is how you develop social emotional learning, because it's through trust and ease and safety. And if those children are trying to learn about smiley faces or sad faces whilst they're in fight or flight, they're,
Mm,
first of all, they're not listening, because
yeah.
they're in fight or flight. And second of all, that part of the brain is shut down, so they can't learn anything at that
Yeah.
state. um, and it might not be developmentally appropriate, so you're going to have to use your own, expertise and stuff to figure that out. But I kind of I think it starts with that connection and that compassion for each other, and that
Yeah.
collaboration with learning, as opposed to just someone somewhere has said this is the curriculum you have to use, but they haven't been in a classroom with a 4-year-old for 30 years.
Right.
So,
Or ever.
or ever. Yeah. So, and things have moved on so much in the past couple of years, because, there's so many, like, the diagnosis for mental health, and has skyrocketed all across the world, um as well as younger kids, like
Yeah.
puberty. I was reading the other day, puberty is starting 2 years earlier than it used to be whenever I was that age.
Oh, wow.
And I was just fascinated thinking, oh my goodness, what are we, how is this, happening? And I think it's maybe more important now than ever to go back to those fundamentals and, because AI is coming in, it's already here.
Oh, yeah.
In 2 years, you're going to be able to have a full blown party on your computer with other virtual reality people. So, the loneliness pandemic is getting worse. And you're just like,
Oh my goodness.
real human interaction, please. Yeah. So
Absolutely. Okay. So how can early childhood educators use creativity, process art to develop social and emotional skills?
I would just say use what you've got. So whether you only have um, scrapings of paint left and a big roll of wallpaper and a few rolls of tape, just put it out. Just stick the tape down on the table or the floor or the wall or the easels or wherever you want to put it, and just kind of leave it as an invitation. Because
Yeah.
again, as I said earlier, it's the kids will know what they want to make with it. They'll explore, they'll think, they'll figure it out. They're developing that
Yeah.
constructive sort of thinking process and questioning what it's going to be. So they're learning confidence as well because they're able to make their own decisions. Like
Mm-hmm.
if at home you have you have a parent who doesn't like to have any mess at all,
Yes.
having that freedom and being able to break those rules in a safe environment is so developmentally crucial for their confidence and their sensory exploration and
Yeah.
for brain development. It's so important. Like I know I've done family workshops and things before, or been in with some in some schools or whatever. Some of the adults are just like hands up, kind of
Yep.
like, no, 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 this is not happening in my classroom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's okay, you're safe here, we can do this, and once they put their hands in that bag of colored rice, you see their nervous system immediately, change. And I think it all starts with modeling that behavior yourself, really,
Yeah.
and be able to get your hands dirty and be okay with it and not freak out and run straight to the bathroom to wash it off, or it's okay to get a bit of glue on your trousers and it'll wash out. And
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I think it's just about having fun and about
Mhm.
remembering what you were like when you were little and what was your favorite thing, and just get down to their level on the ground and just play and listen and
Yeah.
observe. And yeah, you make me want to go back to the classroom and just
I
kind of
know. I do too. Same. So one thing that when I was in the classroom that I did notice, that when children have, a space for process art where they can grab whatever materials they need off of shelves and use whatever they want to create whatever they want, is that the children who are all gathered around those tables develop so many things socially because they're having conversations and they're looking at what other kids are doing and they're talking through what they're doing and they're asking for what they need. And it is probably one of my favorite areas to watch those social skills like develop, because it really is about looking at what other people are doing and kind of trying to, it starts that like looking at what other people are doing and um appreciating others' work.
Mhm.
And I like, one of my favorite things to do was just to sit in the art area and just listen to the conversations and watch the things that were transpiring in the art area. And art doesn't just have to be, creativity and art is not just in the art area. Another place that I love to sit was in the block area and watch children build and listen to the conversations that they were having as they were building and the imaginary worlds that they are creating in their heads. And it was really magical to be a part of. And I'm so grateful for that time that I got to have in the classroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like imagine living in those little worlds where there's so much creativity happening. It's just so much fun. And like for you
Yeah.
know, like I have written in my note here just to check. There's like process art is to me is like failing forward is a big thing because you are experiencing mistakes
Yeah.
and corrections and someone else dabbing there, having
Mm.
their input on your artwork and happy accidents. Happy accidents are one thing that I think that led me into specializing in my area in art. It was like ceramics
Mm.
and like ink drawing. So it was kind of I was exploring things that I had no control over, and I was trying to sort of impart some sort of control on them. So that's why I call them happy accidents, because every time something went into the kiln, you were never quite sure what was going to come out.
Yeah.
Um, and as you said, like I was just checking through Instagram earlier, and there's a wee reel that I had of a little girl a couple of years ago at a workshop, and that I had set out big bits of white card, and I had masking tape and paint sticks, and I have a little video of her, and they were all playing together, all joining in, and in her little tiny English accent, she was just like, "This is the best day," and it was melts my heart. It's just like amazing. So
Oh, yeah, they don't remember their best day in front of a screen. They don't remember their best day, like, you know, in front of TikTok. They remember things like that. Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. And that's just like a lifelong thing. Like she's going to take that with her
Mhm.
forever and remember that. Oh, how can, so if there's any like at-home caregivers slash parents slash guardians that are listening to this and they want to provide opportunities like this for the kiddos of theirs, what are some things that they can do to like implement creativity and art in their home?
First of all, I would probably have a look in your drawers in your kitchen. That's always somewhere where you can find materials. So you could start like water play or something with your saucepans, or you
Mm.
could make music out of it, or um, you could go into the bathroom if you're allowed a thing, a roll of toilet roll, if
Mm.
there's, or toilet paper, if there's any toilet paper left, and mush it all up and see what happens when you absorb it. And it doesn't have to be a whole roll, a couple of pieces is
Yeah,
suffice.
yeah.
Then there's the innard of that, there's the cardboard roll, and that is so many different things you can do with that. But I suppose I would start with your the basic things you have around the home. um Process art generally, if you're trying to start to learn to tolerate mess, maybe start with like water painting.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Then build your own tolerance up to adding a bit of paint into it, and then gradually leaving a big tub of paint out and a big bit of old wallpaper or something from the garage, and just see what happens. Um, but you can use it as something where you are trying to promote independent time for their independent play. So you can
Mm-hmm.
use it as an invitation, or you can use it as a connection time. I I would tend to use it a lot with my kids as time for connection,
Yeah.
especially after school, if they're a wee bit older or whatever. Um, but it really helps, especially if it's something sensory, that
Mm-hmm.
it really helps them process their emotions, knowing that you're there if they're having a hard time, if they're anxious about anything, if they're worried about anything, then it usually comes out.
Yeah.
And so it's not just art for art's sake. It's actually kind of fundamental to being.
Absolutely.
It calms your brain, everything. It's just, but yeah, have a look in your cupboard. Sensory things as well, like rice. If you've got like a Ziploc bag and some old rice, and put painting with it, or just play with it as it is, or just put it in a tray, let them have a little play.
Yeah.
um, or some dough recipes, or everything that you have in your kitchen. You could be so So many ideas. Or just go and grab a blanket and put it over a few chairs and away you go with a wee fort and start
Oh, I
thinking
used
about
to
it.
love making forts when I was little. I would make like whole entire like rooms, like
Mhm.
my sisters and I, like we would coat the whole entire living room in forts and like blankets and tables and couches. Like we used everything and we would make like our own little rooms. It was so
Mhm.
fun. Oh my gosh, I loved making forts.
Yeah, forts and cardboard boxes, especially around, or like if you celebrate Christmas time, or anywhere where you get big gifts or new furniture, cardboard boxes, never ever throw them out.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay. I want to talk about craft projects versus
Mhm.
process art. Can you kind of explain the difference first, and then we'll go from there?
Okay. Um, Craft is generally something that has an outcome or a template. Generally, you would see like a lots of hobby craft stuff, which are like cross stitch patterns or something like that, where you have to follow an instruction.
Yep.
Um, Craft is like can be adult led, where you want to make a specific thing and they all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my definition of craft. It would be some skills, but they're mostly um, adult led and instruction kind of based, and they have an outcome that looks
Yeah.
exactly the same. For me, process art is it's about the journey. It's
Yeah.
about the actual process. It's about what you learn when you're doing the activity, the art activity. The craft, even if it is a craft activity that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be the same. So if you're weaving, for instance, or felt making or something like that, it doesn't have to look the same as everyone else's. So process art is about the process. It's not about the product.
Yeah.
It's about everything that you learn along the way, and you can scrunch it up at the end or rub it out and do another one, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Okay. I want to process through this with you because this is a thought that I had. Um, and I'm trying to just like articulate it a little bit and figure out how I can put it into a learning moment for people, like an analogy maybe. So one of the things like when I'm out teaching and doing workshops and things is that a lot of times I hear that people want to do craft projects with their children so that they can practice scissor skills. Like that is one of the main things that I get back. Like they need to learn how to use a scissor. And so they learn how to use a scissor when we do craft projects. When did learning how to use a scissor become one of the biggest goals of early childhood education? Like we don't have this goal for any other tool.
Mm-mm. Well, first of all, no. So scissor skills.
Like why
Why?
did it become such a huge thing? Like
Right.
when a child, I mean, yes, it's for fine motor, but there's so many other things to develop fine motor skills.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
when did it become like the end all be all of like
I think
skills for
I
early
think
childhood?
I think scissor skills leads to a career in scissor management at the scissor factory, where they make scissors with like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
what yeah. And like I
I don't
understand
know. Like, why don't we have these goals with other tools that maybe children would use just as much? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of something that children use, like toothbrushes, brushing their own teeth. Like, why don't we put a huge emphasis on brushing your teeth? They do that more than they use a scissor, probably, or
yeah.
brushing your hair, like combing your hair. Like, why don't we put huge emphasis on something like why is scissors such a hugely emphasized?
I think it's such a misconception though, isn't it? Because especially parents, if you're not even in, and educators who maybe have come through um, the system, and scissor skills is like the term for it. I don't know why, because it's like a rhyming, scissor starts with scissor skills. It
Scissors,
rolls off
yeah,
the tongue.
yeah,
But it's, there's so much more to scissor skills, as in fine motor skills, like
Yeah.
all those things where you're putting your hands into dough and squeezing and working those finger muscles. Like the bones aren't even fused yet
Yeah.
for so they're not going to be able to use scissors when they're that age. So it's kind of working around. I'm trying to think of an analogy, as you say. So if it was scissor skills, so like scissor skills, all those type of things lead to tying laces and being
Mm.
able, pencil grip and all that type of thing. Knife and fork, stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Um, but it's just, as you say, it's fine motor
Yeah.
training, isn't it? And you mean like all those pages where they have a stripe down it
Yeah.
and a zigzag and a,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or people just, that's one of their excuses for only doing craft projects, is that children need to learn how to use a scissor. And so by tracing a circle and cutting out the circle for the body of the fish, they're learning because and practicing their scissor skills.
But they're learning something. They're learning that they can't have a say over what they want to do with this page. Maybe they see a page with a fish on it and think, oh, I could make that into like, something else, like a vase of flowers, or I could cut it up and make it into like a structure or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of adults, as they say, have the, as the famous Sir Ken Robinson said, like has the creativity educated out of us.
Mm.
So we don't remember what it's like to be little.
Yeah.
And how, like, you'll be able to tell whether your kids are teed off or not, really, won't you?
Right.
If they're enjoying it or not.
I have a question for you. I'm like really into scissors right now. I'm going to have to make an Instagram post about this. So if a child is in their play and they're doing process art and they're holding a scissor wrong, what is your opinion on if we should go in and correct them if the scissors is still working, or if we should let them use it how they are using it?
I would let them use it how they're using it to try and figure out, first of all, does it work? Second of all, if it's not working, how can we figure it out? And if it doesn't work, maybe I don't want to play with the damn scissors anymore. Put them down and I've got to rip it with my hands.
I was in a training once and I had someone kind of come at me because they're like, so if a child's holding a scissor wrong, you aren't going to teach them the right way to use it. But if they are pronouncing a letter wrong, you would correct them on that. And I was like, it kind of took me back a little bit because I was like so thrown off by the question. And I was like, but the scissor actually works, even if it's upside down. And if they came to me and asked me, can you help me? I absolutely would help them. But like for a letter pronunciation or whatever it was, I don't even remember what the other thing he was comparing it to. I was like, but that's like, there's only one way to do that. Like, oh, it was letter formation, like writing the letter the correct way. And yes, in those instances, like if they're writing something and they need to know how to make a letter form the right way, yeah, I'm going to help them, because there's only like one right way to write the letter M. I mean, there's two, uppercase and lowercase. And I mean, we could really get into it with like cursive and Danielian and all of that. But like, I was kind of thrown off. I was like, I don't know. And then it was also brought up too that like it's a sharp tool, so we need to teach them how to use it correctly so they don't hurt themselves. But I'm thinking, I don't know. Like we use like blunt edged scissors in early childhood when you're first starting to learn to cut. So like I don't feel like they would actually hurt themselves if they're using it upside down.
No. And
More
again,
than they would if they're holding it correctly. I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For there's two sides, I think, to that coin. There's one which is risk management.
Yeah.
Like they need to have to be able to experience these things. If they cut themselves, they're going to cut themselves.
Yeah.
Because even if you're there or not, they're going to try it the same way again when you're not there because they want to know what happened.
Yeah.
So if you correct them, they'll still go back and want to know what happens the other way.
Yeah.
I think, anyway, in my experience. And the other thing is, like, if you did want to teach them the right way, I would use modeling more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I'll just go, come to sit beside them and go, this is fun. Now let's, cut these up and see how many little confetti pieces we can make or something.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
and let them have that social interaction where they're watching you and they're seeing your fingers and they're kind of trying to play with theirs and figure out where the fingers go and if they're upside down or back to front, or
Yeah.
that's how I would do it personally.
Thanks for hashing that out with me. I think there's a whole class in there somewhere on scissors and free
Totally.
the scissors. It's not just for craft project people. Okay. Thank you for like hashing all of this out with me. Thank you for being here to promote creativity and self-expression and social and emotional skills in young children. Where can people find you if they need more Beverly in their life?
You can find me through my website, www.happylittlehumans.com, or you can find me on Instagram mainly. I'm Happy Little Humans Play on there.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, and thanks for doing the work that you're doing in the lives of young children. I appreciate you.
You too. Thank you so much.
If you liked what you heard today, share this podcast with your coworkers, admin, or maybe even your partner. And I love getting 5-star reviews so more people can embrace play. Hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Or connect with me on Instagram or my website, KristenRBPeterson.com. Until next time.